She on acid.
And recording started. Hello, sheeple, and welcome back to your acid trip, episode 3. Jason, what was on the last episode?
Last time on Sheep on Acid, we covered the PS5 versus Xbox Series X saga. So if you want to go listen to that, go back to episode 2, or why not go back to episode 1 and understand why Jesus' foreskin is buried in the Chinese pyramids.
And today, what we're going to be discussing is UFO behavior and carries on and whatnot, and also aliens. And I think Darren also might want to once again discuss something about foreskin. It might be his one this time if you're lucky.
I tried to get it around Saturn, it didn't work.
Wasn't as big as Jesus's. Anyway, we shall not dive back into that very strange conversation.
Yet.
Yes, yeah. So I think to start off the episode about UFOs and aliens and whatnot, it would be remiss of us not to kick it off with mentioning the one and only Bob Lazer. If you don't know who Bob Lazer is, he is credited, I suppose, with being one of the first big UFO conspiracy theorists. Obviously, there's been a lot since, or conspiracy theorist or truth teller, whichever side of the fence you sit on. Me, I'm actually not sure. I've listened to lots of his podcasts he's guested on, and also watched his thing on Netflix, which was Area 51 and Bob Lazer, something like that. I'm not sure the entire name. We'll check it in a while. But the important thing is, in 1989, Bob claims that, or he released claims in 1989. I'm not sure when he actually worked there, but anyway, 1989 he released claims that he had worked in essentially Area 51. He described it as S4, where he was hired to reverse engineer alien technology. Now I know, Owen, you don't really know much about Bob, or maybe it was Darren, so jump in whenever you want with questions on the
Is he the guy? Is Area 51 or S4 or whatever it's called? Is that Roswell, like New Mexico?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
No, Area 51 is Nevada, as far as I know.
I think he was Nevada. I think. Yeah. I'm not.
What happened in Roswell?
This is the factual podcast with very few facts, so we can just assume it's in both places because
Roswell was an event in 1954.
Yeah, Roswell,
I believe, where they recovered.
Area 51 is Nevada.
Yeah. So
Roswell,
did 1947, they recovered like what they believed to be like alien remains and a spacecraft and that kind of thing.
Did they move it to Area 51?
Apparently,
possibly.
But you see, the interesting thing about Area 51 is like there's so little information comes out about it. But if you actually look at Area 51, it is colossal and it's growing all the time, and so many people work there. Like it is, Area 51 is a legitimate place.
What I don't understand about Area 51, insofar it's a top secret military base or whatever it is that everybody knows about.
Yeah, but no one knows what goes on in there. So
no, but you still know where it is. I just find that just
but in this day and age, it's very hard to hide things, isn't it? Unless you go into the deepest jungle, and then it's kind of pointless because as soon as you launch your super top secret foreskin collector, it's straight away people are going to see. And we know about them. Our first episode was on them, so they're also not clandestine.
I guess it was a secret in the 50s, but then once people discovered, like it's still secretive, but
and I suppose we could.
And it could be a decoy.
It could be a decoy. It's true. It could be a decoy because we don't know what's in there. And I think that's worth mentioning straight off the bat. Is we were talking about earlier, off camera, about the fact that ever since your common cheapo phone has a camera that's not made from vomit and teardrops. Oh, this is probably a good point to say.
You never did your disclaimer.
If you have any children listening to this podcast,
shut off.
If you're in a house, just throw them out the window. If it's on, the ground floor, that'll probably be okay. Just make sure you close it after them. And if you're on an upper floor, you have eliminated a problem that's probably ruining your life. If you're in a moving vehicle, same as the last episode, just kick them out. And if you're on a plane, be careful how you dispose of them. I would suggest cramming them down the toilet, because if you do open the emergency exit, you might end up also eliminating yourself, which would ruin this podcast on you.
Yeah, we'd be down with you.
We'd be down with you. The important thing is, if you've listened to this far, we're terribly sorry. Your child is probably going to have a lot of questions about foreskin and pyramids.
You might as well let them continue listening.
Well, you could let them continue listening
on their own device, so we get extra views.
And that would be helpful.
Turn off the parental lock,
and don't forget to hit subscribe.
Hit subscribe, and then open up a new tab on Pornhub. And you might as well get out of the way early. Just get
you know what? To be honest, if you let your child watch something called Sheep on Acid without,
it's your fault.
It's your fault. Also, every single video is marked not for kids. So I'll still continue to do these because I enjoy describing and how you should dispose of your children. But it's your fault. You're a terrible parent if your child is listening to this. Anyway,
you also forgot to do an intro, but okay.
Yeah. Well, no. Jason did the intro. We talked about you
to us.
Oh yeah, we will do that later. Anyway,
I thought you were a professional.
Yeah, I'm not a professional. Don't be ridiculous. So yeah, what we were discussing was vomit and tears. Yes. So cameras that used to be made out of vomit and tears, is how blurry they were. It just looked like someone got sick of them, cried, and wiped it all into. Kind of like how your glass table in the sitting room looks after you do that to it. I don't know if any of you have experienced that.
What are you doing to your table or on your table?
You're getting sick and crying on it, Mick. That's wrong.
Do you not cry as you get sick?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, anyway, I do every time.
It used to be brilliant though when you got a phone back in the day and it like had a slightly new camera. You're like, oh my god, the camera's so class on this.
I can almost make out the tip of my penis.
It was just potato 2.0 like.
Yeah, and just all those dick pics. Almost, that's a problem. I know we're gone off topic here, but it doesn't matter. Like dick pics back in the day, they left a little bit of mystery about them. It was like, well, is that a penis or is it a cocktail sausage? I'm not sure from this distance. It's blurry enough, just so it could be a delicious piece of a lunch or a penis. And now it's in gory detail. People are like, wow, Jesus Christ. He's actually bruised it. He's bruised it from his loneliness during lockdown.
So smartphone cameras are a blessing and a scourge.
Yeah, actually, I just say a scourge, because what they've done is cut down on wonderful UFO sightings and increased bruised penis dick shots. You know what I'm saying?
We don't get pictures like Sasquatch or like Abominable Snowmen or Loch Ness anymore.
And yeah,
we've killed Jason.
It's so easy to doctor photos now compared to like back then. You needed to have a little bit of know-how to actually.
Oh god, I was dying there.
I was laughing at Jason. Yeah, but deep fakes are terrifying. So why is no one deep faked the Yeti?
Oh, have you guys seen that deep fake the South Park guys did with Trump?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like the funniest thing I've ever seen this year, and there's been a lot of weird shit this year. And apparently that clip, like the 10-minute clip, costs more than an entire season of South Park. It costs something like 2.5 million for like a 10-minute clip. It's fucking amazing.
I can't believe they spent that on it, but it was worth it, yeah, definitely. Now, speaking of a weird year, we're going to jump back into aliens. So
we're going to cut a lot of that out, I'd say.
No, it's all staying in. It's all staying in. Everything stays in these episodes, except the bits that I want to cut out as I edit them. Anyway, Bob Lazer. So also, just to call out a much smaller podcast than ours, Bob has been on the Joe Rogan podcast twice, and that's well worth listening to because he's very interesting. You see, the thing about Bob is, like we said, some of his claims, and you can look these up yourself because there's lots of them. And like we said, we don't really deal in facts here, just more emotions and opinions. But Bob, like we said, has had some stuff proven right. But the thing that for me makes him kind of not as believable when he says he was brought in to reverse engineer aliens is every time Joe kind of brought up something, or anytime he's had it in some things that other podcasts as well, where they kind of try to get him to talk back through the stuff that he suffered after he got kicked out of S4. He says that, I'm getting a migraine. I can't discuss this. It's just too hard.
As soon as that started happening on the Joe Rogan, my immediate was like, you're a shyster.
It's like, okay, so you're asked to bring up some facts and you get a migraine. That's helpful.
Yeah, that's not even good deflection, really.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible.
like politicians always have a spin, like to change the topic completely. It's not like, oh my god, I'm about to shit myself.
Yeah, it's just like, hello, Mr. Elderly white male politician. How about all those kids you had sex with? And he's like, but grants
and one
for
has sex. No. Yeah.
Elderly white politicians are creepy. Anyway, sorry, Darren, you're going to say something.
I was going to get us back on track a little bit. So what are these few things that he's saying? I know very little about him. So what has he claimed and what has actually come true? Like, I looked there briefly. He talked about reverse engineering a reactor that it would involve some element that hadn't been synthesized, but it was synthesized in 2003, and he claimed this back in 1990.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. Sorry, I can't remember what it's called now, but it was like element 115 or something, Misconi.
Yeah,
element 115. Yeah.
115, thank you. So that's one thing where he claimed that he did. And was that element known about back in 1990? As in, like, they knew it was there, they just didn't know how to make it? Or was that something that nowhere at that time could have even come up with that idea?
No one could. It wasn't a thing. Like, even now, an element 115, by the way, does actually exist now. It's just not stable, so it can be created.
It's like synthesized and they made it into like something like 2003 from what I was reading.
Yeah.
But like, so when he came out and said I was 1990 or 89 and said I was brought on to reverse engineer this reactor using this element. Like, was it even theorized that this element existed or could exist?
No, it wasn't not in any publications. But again, like, we don't know.
Yeah.
What am I, chemist?
Files weren't released or whatever else. We don't have that detail. But from as far as we know, it didn't exist back then. 20 years later, it was discovered as a barely there element that can't yet be stabilized.
So that's one thing where it came true. It came right.
Yeah, and
like, well, is that saying
that's pretty incredible, to be fair?
Well, he said element 115. Was that just the next number on the periodic table?
No.
And like eventually a new element would have been created. There was a good chance it was going to be done. Like,
no, he described its properties and everything. So, and something that's interesting about that is like, Jason said off camera as well, the man is a verifiable genius.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that, for instance, and to get into a bit of his background, so when he was booted out of S4, one thing, and I to be honest, it makes me feel sad for him, is the reason they kind of stopped asking him to come on to S4 from what he says, and we only have one side to this story really, is they discovered, or his handlers discovered his wife was cheating on him. And because of that, decided that they could no longer trust him to come on site to reverse engineer these ships, because he would be considered unstable if he did find out about the wife cheating on him. But they never told him. This for a while anyway. And then he says he found all this out, and obviously he was no longer with said wife. But after that, then he just said that basically they tried to ruin his life and discredit him because of what he knew, which, I mean, if I was in that position in the government, of course I'd do that. But to be honest, if I had that power, I'd just kill him. So that's the other question, is if he had all this knowledge and stuff, and is a natural outcast, I would say. He's a bit of an odd fella.
Yeah, he's not. He's just that kind of introvert, and you'd just kill him, wouldn't you? If you were in that position, you'd kill him.
A bit like the Snowden thing. It's like, you probably could, that kind of whistleblower thing, but
maybe they're thinking 2 steps ahead, and it's like, if we kill him, then it looks like we killed him. Yeah, we'll have just discredit everything he's ever done. Like, I don't think there's any, like, he says he's graduated from Caltech and MIT and all this like insanely academic stuff, but I don't think there's any more records, or I don't think those colleges are forthcoming with any of the records that he was actually went to school there or did anything there.
But what's interesting is, judging from what he's written and what he knows and stuff, he's definitely smart enough to not only go there but pass the course. So why would he lie about that? That's a really odd thing to lie about, because it's so easily disproven. So that's actually one of the things that I think lends him credibility.
Yeah,
to be quite honest, like, because if I said, oh, hey, I went to this place on this time, and they keep records of everything, so they definitely know that. And then why would that's a strange thing to lie about?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So what he got wrong then?
Well, there's things that obviously, he says that, that there was anti-gravity engines and stuff for the UFOs, and obviously they don't exist yet. That's not to say that they weren't there at the time and that they haven't been reverse engineered, and maybe they're queued up in a release technology, sort of like the iPhone 20 that's hidden in with Jesus' foreskin in the pyramids.
And he describes the physics of how they move as like not adhering to our like structure of physics. He said it just doesn't make sense, and he can't even explain it.
Which brings us on comfortably to the Tic Tacs, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
In that document released this year, which in my opinion was timed very handily in the middle of COVID, because I think everyone was kind of fed up of everything. And so, there was documents released and went, yeah, okay, so we have these videos of, unidentified, I can't remember what they called them. I actually have it here. It was some really weird name that wasn't UFO. They changed it. Unknown aerial object, that was it, or something like that. Or unknown aerial or unidentified aerial phenomenon, but they wouldn't say UFO. But, they were like, oh yeah, here, let's just release these documents, and these are probably UFOs. They're flying really fast and stuff, and they do really crazy things, and we couldn't track them properly and all that stuff. But yeah, everyone's gonna die from COVID, so who really cares? And the crazy thing was not many people cared.
Just to clarify, like, it was the CIA who released these as well. So like I think there was three major videos.
Yeah.
But their kind of reasoning for releasing them was like, oh, we want to clarify that these videos are real. So the videos had been leaked previously, like
by a private contractor or something, wasn't it?
They were reported by I don't know if you know Tom DeLonge, the lead singer from Blink-182. Like he's a massive conspiracy theorist. So he had apparently reported on these like in 2017, 2018. But the Pentagon, when they released them, were like, well, look, we're putting them out there just to confirm that these are like legit videos, that these are what we have, these are what we were examining, but we have no explanation for them. And that was about all they said on it. And but like you say, it's convenient to release them while like a massive other news story is going on, but also
it does help them control.
Still didn't get much focus, like from a media perspective.
No, I didn't get any focus at all, and that's similar to poor old Bob. And we're gonna call poor old Bob from now on, I think. It's something that it's very easy, I think, for very wealthy organizations like that to control, because if they go to not even the media source itself, but if they go to the individual journalist and they're like, hey, so we saw you look up that nugget porn, and if you don't write this the way we want you to write it, we're going to tell everyone in the world that you watch nugget porn, you creep. And then that person's going to be like, yeah, you're right, Bob Lazer is a conspiracy theorist. Yeah.
What's nugget porn?
Just going to ask that question.
I'm glad you asked. So nugget porn is when you watch someone or two people, doesn't have to be one person. It has to involve at least one person who no longer has arms or legs.
You're a bad person.
He's gone again.
Yeah, kill Jason again. I mean, look, I don't discriminate. If someone wants to watch that, who am I to judge? I don't judge. If you want to watch that type of porn, that is all on you.
We expected tangents in this episode, but not.
There's like 6 more talking points to get through.
You got me drinking Guinness. It's your fault. Yeah. So the Tic Tacs, right?
Yeah, Tic Tac.
The interesting thing about those 3 videos is they also contain audio. Now, the important thing to notice here is, like Owen said, they were released by the CIA and they were recorded by military aircraft. Now, the thing about military aircraft is they're piloted by incredible pilots. Just get that out there in the open. The people who pilot those jets are phenomenal. They're just incredible. The G's anyway, we won't get into that. But the interesting thing is they were tracking them, and in the audio, these pilots, and this is irrefutable. And one of those pilots also spoke about these Tic Tacs, I believe, publicly. I can't remember his name.
Who cracked the can?
Owen.
But it doesn't count.
Poor Owen. Claus. But they say a couple of times in the videos, how shocked they are at how fast these things are moving. They lose visual and can't regain visual on these things at one point. So to say that, pilots in the US military piloting, unbelievably like peak jets can't keep up with these or can't keep them in sight, is odd. And
they're kind of celebrating when they actually manage to lock their targeting system onto it, like because like the speed it's moving at is incredible.
Yeah,
but like the technology that they must have for that targeting is probably the best there is.
Phenomenal.
Like
that works.
your man is like, oh my god,
works.
I got it! Like I got it. Do you know?
And exactly. Those things are supposed to if they're just supposed to pick up an aircraft and track it. That's it. It's supposed to be that simple.
But
and
like
it was
if they
hunting
can
and
track
hunting and
like
hunting.
other fighter jets, with ease, I'm sure it's probably some degree of difficulty to it. But like you could see your man kept trying to snap to it, and it was definitely something difficult to do. So
and the interesting thing is
involved.
that pilot who did speak publicly, whose name I can't remember, but we'll find it later, maybe at the end of the episode, and mention his name because he deserves a shout out. He did say how, like Bob said, they didn't really obey the laws of our physics because they just stop and turn and go the other direction instantly. Like there was no slowdown point and there was no acceleration point. It just happened. So that's really interesting, and kind of like, look, we won't delve into that too much. There's lots of information out there on the Tic Tacs. If you want to look them up, look up those 3 videos. You can find them on Wikipedia with a quick Google, like Pentagon UFO videos or something like that. I think that'll find them pretty quick. Give them a watch. Listen to the audio. Very, very, very interesting. Definitely worth a watch and a listen. But yeah, cool. The interesting thing about that is the fact that backs up what Bob said about the physics. That's what's interesting to me.
It also takes out the fact that, a lot of the previous sightings were actually military messing around and testing out some of their technology, where this is, it's clearly not them.
Yeah. Oh, and I believe you wanted to bring up something, didn't you?
Yeah, so then just in the last week, we had already decided to do this episode, but then kind of an interesting news story came up. This kind of metal monolith appeared in the desert in Utah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like 12 feet tall. It's probably about 1 foot wide. And it was spotted by like park rangers, essentially, who were like in a helicopter flying over the whatever part of Utah. And they were like essentially counting sheep, that's what they said. And that they spotted this object and they landed and had a look at what it was. So yeah, 12 feet, the size of 2 men, just sitting there. I'd say it's definitely like everyone immediately descended into being like, oh, it's aliens, whatever. But
it was aliens.
Like, there's rivets in it.
It was aliens. Aliens have rivets too. Rivets are good.
I'd say they've got something better than rivets.
Come on.
You're giving the aliens too much credit.
Jason, stop shouting. Move back.
But like it was
it
was mounted like
think about it, making us think about this like.
Yeah, it was lodged into like the bedrock in the desert,
But that's the thing. Like they said, we don't know how deep it goes. No one ever fucking checked, and then it's gone. And it's like, oh well, isn't that useful? Yeah. I love how the US people came out, whatever they're called, the preserve. I don't know, the police. They were like, I don't care if aliens installed it here. The fact remains, it's illegal, and that's it. And then boom, it's gone. Like he pissed off the aliens. Imagine just being like, this is class, thanks aliens. Then they wouldn't rip it up out of their massive hole.
Yeah.
I was reading something and some guy had hiked out there and went out there to visit it, and he said he saw that was just some guys in like a pickup truck that were able to pull it and take it away. He's like, holy fuck.
Yeah, well, aliens can use pickup trucks.
Well, so the other theory with it is that it's like an artist's statement. So like it's been there for like 5 years according to Google Earth. So people like were able to use the Wayback Machine to check Google Earth from like 2015, 2016, and all you could actually see was a shadow of it.
That's cool
on Google Earth. So it was kind of cool that they could pick out like it was here on a certain date in 2015, and before that it wasn't. But the theory about the artist is like that it's just a tribute to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, nice.
So like there are similar, like there's the scene in the film with similar sized like metal monoliths just planted in the ground. And then so 10 days it was there. The park ranger said, look, we're not going to point out where it is. We don't want people traveling out here getting lost trying to find it.
And dying.
People on the internet immediately found it. and within 10 days it's gone again. So like they would have a legitimate reason to remove it, although they've also said that they didn't remove it. So who knows who did it. But then it gets weirder. In Romania a couple of days ago, another one appeared, essentially the same thing. And in about 2 days, I only read today, that one has also disappeared too.
But the interesting thing about that one in Romania wasn't it there for ages, because I saw comments now. Look, Facebook comment sections aren't exactly the most reliable things in the world, but one of the articles I saw on the Romanian obelisk, and look, Facebook's algorithm knows that I want to read weird shit because it always just pops these up straight away for me. But there was a load of people, a load of people in the comments in that were saying, I'm from Romania, this has been here for ages, it's like near my village. So I found that interesting. But yeah, that's also gone, which is kind of sad.
But that's strange. So like they say, oh, it's near my village, it's there ages. Would you not go just have a quick look around and go, I don't remember this here. Like, what is it? Why is it here? Like, you see those kind of artistic kind of sculptures are all around the place. But there's not only a plaque or something that kind of says what it's for.
Yeah, but like, if you think about it, right? If you live in Romania, did you think about it?
No.
Why not?
But that doesn't make sense.
That was quiet time for you to think about living in Romania.
Why would I think about living in Romania?
Because that was what I said. Just because I let it trail off as if I was going to say something else, it doesn't mean I was going to say.
I thought the whole podcast went down. Like,
no, but honestly, right? Like Romania is largely a shithole, as we know. So like, you don't really have time. You don't really have time to be going looking at, like, if you see an obelisk, you're like, I'm just trying to, get enough money to feed my family and not get shot by the Russians. I'm assuming.
Yeah, you're just like the Russians put that there. I ignore it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. You just get on with your day. Like, clearly this is, a Soviet fuck actory. Let's just get on with our day so they don't round us up and make us shoot one of our family members in order to stay alive.
But like,
compared to the Utah one, it has a kind of a weird squiggly design on it as well.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know.
But
if
something
on purpose or someone just attacked it.
Stop
if
shouting,
something is
Jason,
there,
just stop shouting.
I'm not shouting.
Yeah, shouting.
If I go back here, is it okay back here?
Yeah, you just don't lean like that. You look like one of those worms from Worms.
But like, if something is there,
Worms from Worms. Fucking great, Mike. Fucking great.
If something is there when you're born, like you're never gonna ask, why is that there? It's always there. It always has been there. Like, it's not like someone that's been born now is going to go up to the spire in 20 years' time.
I'd say they'll be asking exactly what that's there. It's like, hey, look, 20 years later, this is still fucking stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah, when that gets removed, no one will ask questions.
Yeah, they'll be like,
about time.
Fuck. Yeah.
What does the spire represent? Oh, modern wealthy Ireland. As we drive around like fucking dustbins and shit.
But my favorite part about that, right, is that costs like what, $5.5 million to manufacture and install.
Stupid, yeah.
Whatever, too much, whatever.
Yeah, no. But the best part is, right, then they kept us really quiet for a while because they were like, yeah, it costs $5.5 million to manufacture and install, and everyone was like, you spent $5.5 million, like just after the recession or during, to put a giant metal stupid ass spike that no one can even go to the top of to look out across Dublin. And you spent $5.5 million, and they're like,
"Oh, this is boom time."
Yeah, and then they were like, "Yeah, but it's $2.2 million to maintain every year." Oh. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. Come again? To clean it and maintain it and change the lights on the top so helicopters don't crash into it is $2.2 million a year.
Who got that contract? That's sweet.
$2.2 million a year. You could buy a new one every 3 years.
Maybe the guy who cleans it, right, is taking shards off it and just planting them all over the world in Utah, Romania. He's like, I'm sick of cleaning this thing.
Are you trying to suggest, Eoin, that the spire is not only a living organism, but that it creates splinters that are then planted across the world because it hasn't, grown smaller?
I don't want to suggest that I know too much about it. Just if another shard like it appears in the burn, it wasn't me.
all I'm hearing is that Eoin says the spire is organic and an alien piece. Interesting. Thanks, Eoin. Thanks for providing that. Appreciate it. Good addition to the episode. Yeah, because aliens.
Well, you can't say it's not true.
We don't know. It could be
There you go.
organic. You know, it could be
clearly-
growing.
Thanks,
It's
Darren. Good
popping up
cover.
in the-
Good cover, Darren. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, like,
Maybe that's why the government just took all the flack because it grew there overnight, and they were like, "Yeah, we spent 5 million on it."
Yeah, we spent 5 million attacking this thing that was growing from the ground.
And then we realized that our military is only equipped with slingshots and rocks. So,
And hey, give it up, growing.
yeah, they just went out and shook their fists at it. Come on, stop! You can't be growing there. Do you not see me slingshot here?
At least let us put it down light on top of you, so we don't bang into.
I'm not even angry you grow there. I'm just disappointed. Now, come on down. Don't make me get the wooden spoon, all right? I broke it off your arse last week, and I'll break it off it again this week.
stereotyping bad.
Depressing insight into my childhood.
Didn't fucking hit you hard enough.
Or maybe they hit me too hard, and that's the problem. in the head. Darren, you wanted to talk about crop circles.
Did I?
Yeah, I believe you wanted to talk about crop circles.
No, it's just one of like they're probably the oldest, like of these whole idea of alien sightings and alien appearances. He's probably the oldest. Like if you ask someone on the street, like aliens, what do they do? Like, oh, crop circles and all that stuff. But like, wasn't that like brought out as fact that they were man-made, just people just messing?
Well, some of them have been, but like some of them are like appear overnight and are colossal. Mainly in like rural America, where mid-America, where they do all the farming, massively flat for a long time, and it's also a large body of land. So when people have talked about that in the past, and they said, okay, well, why do crop circles appear here? Why are they so massive? If you were an alien coming into Earth, it's kind of like, okay, where would we hit? In fairness. And I know we always slag Americans for just assuming aliens are going to hit in America, and then the Japanese assume that all the kaiju are going to only hit Japan, which makes no sense. No one ever hits the other massive land masses. But anyway, that is actually, if you were looking at somewhere to land your massive ass alien ship and, plant your splinters or whatever else, or do your crop circles, that is a large, flat area of land that's in the center of it. It's nearly like a ready-made landing pad. So maybe that's why they put them there. But anyway, sorry, I completely went off topic there. The crop circle thing, there are some that appear overnight that are like, I personally don't see how a person could do them. It's like they're huge.
It would take massive coordination.
Yeah.
There have been, you're like, there's been groups who said, like, there's ones who appeared in England in the 60s, and they said,
they did this as a prank,
groups who said, oh yeah, we came out, we did this as a prank, like.
Okay.
Still fair play, like massive coordination, whatever. But
I'm interested to see though that they still happen then, because like we have Netflix now, so would you be arsed?
Well, yeah, just for a prank, the kind of idea of just hilarity. But I was looking at some things, and it was like they reckon it was from, like, some people do, like some artists do it now as like art, modern art and all that stuff. But I was looking at something, and they were saying that it could be from pre-existing structures, as things like say structures that were created 3,000 years ago, and they just made a dent in the land, and then once they were cleared away, the dent in the actual farmland was still there. So once the crops grew, it just grew and just made it look like a design, when it was just like maybe a building or like a village or something like that, which would have that weird pattern to it. So like there's all these explanations behind them, but again, it's just interesting that we might as well bring it up when we're talking about UFOs.
Yeah, no, but it's definitely aliens, so that's all I'm saying.
I wonder, have there ever been any reported like crop circles in Ireland, or like if it was just a group of lads like us who decided to go out into the field? Do we have too much respect for farmers and their crops to go
definitely
wrecking fields? Like,
I don't think it's even respect. I think you just get shot.
Terror.
Yeah, you get shot.
Fear.
Yeah, 100%.
That's something I would do, just laugh, but they would fucking kill us.
Also, like, how the hell are you going to crop circle anything in Kerry? You'd have to, like, flatten some land there first.
Yeah.
Like, you're definitely getting shot in Cork, 100%. No one wants to drive to somewhere like Laois or something to do them. Because,
or Roscommon or something like that.
Yeah, no one wants to go there, so no one's going to do crop circles there. It's like, here, lads, we go up to Roscommon and do some crop circles. It'd be hilarious. It's like, yeah, but then we'd be in Roscommon. It's a problem.
We've insulted Romania and Roscommon now today.
Yeah, I just need to fit in Limerick now somehow. Piss off Blind Boy, he'll give us an old boost.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Someone was arguing with me during the week that the Blind Boy podcast is actually funny and like enlightening, and I had to like solidly just laugh at him for 5 minutes when he was making his point. I
did like some of his older ones.
Ah.
I haven't listened in a long time since he became Jesus.
He's a muppet.
Go on, Darren. Please tell us about UFOs, because Blind Boy is clearly an alien. So continue. That's why he wears a mask. Why is he a muppet? Come on, tell us.
He just fucking, his whole act is just a farce, and like everybody's like at the start. Remember, he started off fucking like he's still wearing a plastic bag on his head, singing stupid songs on RTE. Like
Custom spare bag.
What?
Custom spare bag.
Custom spare bag. Sorry, but like no, like I just don't.
He also worked for the BBC and he slags tans. So you know.
Oh, that's true. But
just saying.
Like I don't find him funny. I find all his like. Jody comes out like, in fairness, his message of like mental health and all that, like in males and blah blah blah. Like, it's great and all his message is fine, but like, don't pretend you're an expert on it. You're a muppet with a fucking plastic bag on your face.
Doesn't he have a degree?
We all have degrees here. We all have degrees here. I mean, we're
no, but I think he actually has a degree in like psychology or something.
Oh, does he?
Question: is it the bag that annoys you?
No, it's just his accent as well pisses me off. His whole stick pisses me off. But then again, credit where credit's due. If I thought of the idea of wearing a spare bag that I found in a ditch 10, 15 years ago, cut holes into it, put myself on TV and made millions off it, I'd fucking do it. Why the fuck
I mean,
not?
Horse Outside was entertaining. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And in fairness, like, if that's the best Limerick can offer, well then, fair enough.
I mean, that probably is the best Limerick can offer. What else do they have?
There we go. We've insulted Limerick.
Sorted. Dust off the hands and get back to aliens. Something that I didn't, didn't really discuss yet, and aliens in general. And I know we mentioned it in the Pyramids in China episode, and wanted to bring it up again. Is yeah, I do that every night. But is it's fingerprints. Have you ever heard of Fingerprints of the Gods, the book?
Oh, this
I think you mentioned it in the first episode, right?
Yeah,
we mentioned it, Graham Hancock. Yeah, so it's just something I wanted to filter back to, because I actually looked up more about it, and
absolute arse gravy.
Some of it is definitely arse gravy, but like
loose
if you
stool water.
But what's
this is Darren's review of the podcast.
But what's interesting is there's
bollocks.
There are places that still exist, such as Tiwanaku. I don't know, has anyone heard of Tiwanaku, but it's a pre-Columbian site in Bolivia, I think. I know it's near Lake Titicaca, and I'm pretty certain it's in Bolivia. But
great name.
Thank you. I think the name means the gate of. I think it was the gate of the sun. I'm actually going to look it up here 1 second. I think it's the gate of the sun. But anyway, the point is, there's lots of these prehistoric monuments that, like we said in the first episode, that have common things all across the globe, right? And yes, you could argue that we used to be, wasn't it Pangaea when we were all one big landmass?
Yes.
Maybe there was people who actually covered the entirety of the planet back then, and we're actually just really shit at archaeology, and we think we're hot shit, but we're actually not. Maybe dinosaurs aren't real. Maybe that was a practical joke by people who lived before. Maybe. And then they decided to do something crazy and blew up the world, and then everything spread out, and it actually wasn't Jesus at all. But anyway, the important bit is,
we're down the rabbit hole now, sheeple.
Yeah, we are. The acid is kicking in hard. But the important question from my side, right? What I want to know is, what do you think of, people have said before that all through this, and that there are these commonalities across lots of different things, is what if we were a planting ground for aliens, similar to Alien vs Predator? What if we are just literally nearly an entertainment channel for them? And, they've drip fed us technology throughout the years, like Bob Lazer suggests, in order to, say, okay, we're bored of this era, let's drip feed in some technology and see how they go with it. And what do you think of that? Imagine that was real. What would you think?
Like on common threads through common threads to culture. I always thought it was cool that, like, say, Celtic tradition and like Chinese tradition both have dragons like turn up. And it's like, okay, yeah, you could say probably linked back to dinosaurs and whatever, but like it's kind of mad that two different cultures on different sides of the world came up with this exact same idea. Whether, yeah, hadn't thought about it in the way that it was like aliens just gave a few Irish lads and gave a few Chinese lads stories about dragons and said go after and see what you can do with this.
I mean, it is actually, if you think about it, it's a distinct possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if the way I always think about it is outside of the planet, it says it's infinite.
Why did you say planet like it wasn't real? Are you a flat earther? Did you go planet like because it's actually flat? Like a piece
No, I was
look at this planet. I'm holding up a piece of paper. Sorry,
model.
we just needed to know. Continue, Dave. Sorry. Outside of the planet,
I did. Okay, first of all, I did not do bunny ears, right?
They were implied.
they were implied, yeah, by the tone.
It's infinite, and if you really think about like the word infinite, it just blows your mind. So like therefore, anything could be possible if it's infinite.
It could.
So that's all that. Anytime I think about this, I just go back to that. It's infinite. Therefore, all possibilities are true.
Why do you think that we have not met aliens? Would you say that the Fermi paradox is probably right, or is it something else?
I would say that we have.
We have, and we just don't realize it.
Just don't realize it. Yeah.
I agree with that, and some I would say that they like whatever. Like we say, aliens is like. Even if it says aliens, it's like that one species of it. Like who knows? It could have been fucking millions of like thousands of species of alien could have come visit us or whatever. But I think it's they chanced us a few years, like thousands of years ago. We weren't quite ready yet. They could be watching now, going, we'll give them a few more millennia to see can they get their act together.
We need to let them get over this nugget porn fad.
Yeah. And like one of my favorite jokes was like, I think it was a Frankie Boyle or something like that. I said like, once we crack like light speed and once we crack that, like our whole reality will just dissolve and just up in the sky or up like on this up behind us, it'll just say level 2.
Yeah.
So like I reckon, yeah, we must have run into them, or they must have run into us at some point. Like, but again, I think it's like if they are interested in us, they're probably waiting because they're like, well, if we go down there now, we're gonna fucking cause some havoc, and people aren't going to be ready. We're gonna get shot with we're gonna get shot with guns.
Well, like the thing is, I
laugh at them. But
I agree with you. By the way, I think they have been here. If they exist, and if we're going this route, I think if we take it that aliens exist, and if we take it that they have been here, I think they've been here at least once. Like if you look at the likes of I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. I've written down Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, Aztec place.
Yes, exactly. That god. Like that is batshit crazy looking, right? And then you have that like in Fingerprints of the Gods and stuff, you have that commonality of what we spoke about, the white-haired white man on a cloud. And then you also have the Greek gods and stuff, up on clouds. It's this clouds thing that kind of gets me is either people were tripping on acid such as we do every week to record this podcast, and we're looking at the clouds and like, Jesus, man, there's a dude with a lightning bolt up there. Let's call him Zeus. His name is Zeus now, and then he is a messenger dude who runs around with wings on his ankles, and he's super fast and shit, and he collects souls. that sort of thing. I can't remember his name, but the messenger dude, Hermes, thank you. Yeah, but so I just think it's, excuse me, I think it's very interesting. Like you have those commonalities across the world. It's nearly like you said, Darren, they kind of zoomed about, checked in on how civilization was going, or like, nah, we're too early to blow these dudes' mind to give them, light speed. Let's tip on. And then they came back and they're like, oh, fuck, they've better cities now and they're slightly more civilized, but nah, it's still too early. And, then
Took them a while. Like.
It took them a while. But, that could be a blink of an eye for them, If they're immortal, say, like every 1,000 years, they're just kind of like, I'll pop back there tomorrow. And then, more recently, they came back and appeared to Post Malone, apparently, and, definitely ran away from him. They're like, fuck, he looks like he smells like piss, and he does smell like piss. And then they piss back off up into space. So, who knows when they'll be back.
I've never really like completely, I don't know, decided where I stand on all of it. Like, I think we have to like agree there's like there's life out there. I think it's very selfish for us to decide that like we're the only smart life on this single little planet, in a universe that, like Jay says, is infinite. But
infinite that we can measure so far.
Yeah, whether or not like the other civilizations that are out there are more advanced than us and have got here sooner than we could even imagine getting out of our own solar system. I don't know, but there's been enough weird stuff, like you say, throughout history to be like, yeah, it's a legitimate
possibility.
Legitimate.
100%.
Like, so no wonder we do, like, come back to the pyramids in China, we blame weird things we can't understand on aliens, and I think it's definitely a better like plausibility than most like religious arguments come up. Like,
100%.
Not to get into all of that again, but like I think it definitely I want to believe, and I think I do believe, and there has to be stuff out there, but who knows really until they kind of announce themselves and actually show themselves where do we stand.
Absolutely, and I would agree with everything said there, and we can start pushing towards the end. But I think the most depressing thought for me is I want to believe that there's stuff out there. Definitely, I do believe there's stuff out there. But the most depressing thought for me is that in that limitless universe that we have not even measured the edge of yet, because we can't measure that far yet, if we are completely alone, I think that would be the worst case scenario for me from an interest perspective. And if the Fermi paradox is true, and there's those gates, like Darren said, level 1, level 2, and if we somehow missed our chance at level 2 and the aliens just fucked off back to there, that no, they missed it, they're never going to get it. That was their chance, that was their gate, and then they started, eating each other or whatever, and just
lost forever.
That's a possibility. That's depressing. So I really hope that if we are in something like the Fermi paradox, I hope we haven't hit that world-changing eye-opener like Darren described again, and that we will hit level 2. And I hope that there are other aliens out there, and that they eventually come back and give us more cool art, because I think that's the main thing is pyramids and stuff are cool. All the art pieces are cool. Quetzalcoatl is cool. That shit's cool.
I want the iPhone 20.
Yeah, but all you have to do is pop across to China and dig into the pyramids and get that. You'll also get, wrapped up in a massive foreskin that you have to climb. Oh, if that's decaying, it's going to be like jelly. So you'll have to kind of swim through it to get the iPhone 20.
Swim through foreskin.
Who doesn't want to swim through foreskin? So, to close off, we're just going to...
What's 2 skin plus 2 skin?
Foreskin.
Hey.
But me and Owen have already
want to say it.
Why not? Me and Owen have already answered it. So, Jason, do you believe that aliens exist and are out there somewhere? And have they been here before?
Yeah, for me, in my brain, it's a simple mathematics. Like, if it is unlimited and it is infinite, therefore there is everything between us and infinity.
That's a definitive answer, Darren.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Again, it's very hard to say that we're the only there are only intelligent life forms out there. Like, that's in an infinite universe. That's it's literally the most impossible thing. So no, I definitely agree that there has to be more intelligent life out there, and that they have probably visited before. Whether or not it's the whole level 1, level 2 thing, I don't know. I hope not, again, as you said. But I agree with you, Mike. It will be pretty fucking depressing thinking that we're the peak of evolution, or peak life form in the universe, when we create things like Trump and Dappy from Endos.
We imagine
and drink claw
of all that random recombination and all that random happenstance and all that shit that had to be perfect in order for us to be created. Imagine we were the pinnacle. That's pretty shit. That's pretty shit. That wouldn't be good. So, to close off, I once again thank you all for lending us your ear holes to allow us to pour our acidic content into them and melt into your brain parts. Also, I would assume you were sitting down. So because when you sit down, your cheek spreads so slightly, I will thank you for lending us your buttholes. And I will leave you with a question. Do you think, I'll leave it down in the comments. Do you think that aliens exist? And do you think that they visited us before? And am I an alien? You have been Sheep and we have been Acid. And thank you very much for listening. Next time on Sheep and Acid, what are we I'm gonna say, what are we gonna do?
You never said like and subscribe either.
Well, that's coming later. Just what are we talking about next time? Christ.
Oh, can I speak now?
Yeah, you can speak now.
Fine. Next week on Sheep on Acid, we look at Foxconn and the suicide nets and Jesus' foreskin probably again.
Well, I mean, it's so gargantuan you can't not look at it. You know, it's always with you, as is Jesus.
All right, okay.
So
next week, sheeple.
Yeah, that's what's on next week. That is what's on next week. So yeah, thanks again for listening. Please do like and subscribe. We do this for fun, but obviously every time the numbers goes up, Jason gets a raging boner, and it lifts his desk ever so slightly, which makes it more usable at an ergonomic height. So keep his boner going. It's helpful. It's helpful.
Help my back.
Help his back by lifting his boner. Yeah. Darren, how's your butthole? And Owen, do you want to close us out?
Again, it'd be great if everyone lends us their ears and their buttholes next time. So yeah, look, we'll see you next time in pod form. Actually, what is it, Darren? What is it again?
We'll be back next week in pod form.
I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
Do it again. Darren just did it perfectly.
I was just too giddy.
Do
you want to just use Darren's one this time?
No,
we're going to. This is all staying in. This is all staying in. So you just say it again.
We'll be back next week in pod form.
Fantastic.
Hey, Joe, we've called out Joe Rogan twice now. He better call us out at least once.
Yeah, has to shout us out now. Yeah.
God almighty, like.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, lads, that was the worst one yet.